Don Mazzella here again for Small Business Digest. We have a what I think is a very unusual guest. We're going to talk about a subject that a lot of people talk about. Few people have a solution. She has some ideas, which I'm anxious to hear about. Rebecca Sylvain is here to join us, and we welcome her to the program.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Don.
Okay, Rebecca, as we ask all our guests, first, tell us a little bit you have a very interesting story. Tell us a little bit about your personal background, what you're doing now, and finally, a website where people can learn more.
Yeah. So a little bit about my background. I grew up in a single parent household by a mother, a Caribbean mother. Growing up, I know I always wanted to do something that impacted individuals, but I just did not know what. And so just being raised by a Caribbean mother, I was just taught the importance of worth ethic, what it takes to work hard. There's no easy route to become successful. And like quick money, quick money, there's no such thing as that because quick money definitely falls easily. So I'd learned the importance of hard work and worth ethics by being raised by a Caribbean immigrant, mother. And so, along the way, I was in college and I decided to drop out in college and, take a risk and start like, my own babysitting staffing agency. I was a babysitter at the time, babysitting for different families, individuals with children, and it was something that I liked, but I just wanted more. I feel like there was more out there. So that's when Nannies and Kids United became born. And I remember I was sitting in my living room brainstorming the names, which is now trademark today, of what I wanted it to be. So from there, it took 6 years for me to grow it into a very successful business. I've been able to work with care.com. I am one of their backup care vendors. So I provide backup care services to care.com where I send babysitters and nannies to the clients that they work with, which are employees that work for Fortune 500 companies. So that's a little bit of background about me and how I got started. With my website, you can go on www.nanniesandkidsunited.com for, anyone that's looking for reliable childcare and someone who just, pretty much cares about their well-being and just making sure that there's safety into that.
Hmm. Well, on that note, let's talk. By a slight majority, most of our a majority of our audience, very slightly, is women. But you're here to talk about uh, success, helping women to succeed. And I'm gonna, it's a very interesting question because when I look at people who succeed, they're all over the place, all over the spectrum, all over black, white, green, orange, or it doesn't matter. Um, but to me, there seems to be one thing that covers every one of them: hard work. Do you
Mm.
believe? How do you think people learn hard work from their parents or from necessity? But let's start that point and ask. Well, you said it. You took hard work. Um, what do you think instills in people the ethic of hard work?
Yeah, so I do believe that you are a product of your own environment. I've had so many of my peers in the past ask me, you know, how did I attain this mindset? Well, for one, you know, I have like, I was raised by a Caribbean single mother, and all I saw her do in order for us to get by is work hard. She worked long hours. Me, I'm a believer of not only hard work but also working smart. You know, I also grew up in a predominantly wealthy neighborhood as well too. So like my mom worked hard for us to even have that opportunity to be in a wealthy neighborhood, go to a popular like high accredited schooling systems. So I was surrounded by other peers that had like wealthy parents that instilled something. So it's like, and that's why I said you're a product of your own environment. It was those two factors that played, and that came into effect because that's what I saw. I saw hard work, and then I just saw just other peers who were just, blessed with having like parents that, were very lucky to just be in a position where they can just put their children in like, school, a great schooling system, involve them in activities. And seeing that, to me, I'm like, all of this is attainable, you know? Um, in terms of working hard, yeah, you do have to work hard, and then building relationships, you know, building relationships with people where you want to be at, but yeah, I do believe you are a product of your own environment. I've heard so many stories of like, people who just don't have a good mindset, and then when you kind of like can start with their background in terms of like, their parents, where they were raised, that plays a part of it. Statistically speaking as well, children who, grow up in rural neighborhoods, statistically speaking, it's harder for them to become something, so you are a product of your environment.
But let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Why is it that women are the young women seem to have more of a work ethic than men? Men sometimes get it later on in life, but young women starting almost in teenage years
Yeah.
seem to say we have to do it ourselves, and men say we'll figure a way of doing it later on. Now I'm going to have fun. Do you
Yeah.
see that?
Yeah, I definitely do see that. I've also witnessed that just from dating as well. So what I've observed, right? And I'm just speaking from experience. I'm also speaking in terms of like just dating and friends just interacting with the opposite sex. A lot of the times like the man doesn't have a father figure in the household. That's what I've noticed. And when they don't have a father figure in the household, I'm not saying this is for all men, but predominantly what I've seen, most men that don't have a father figure in the household, statistically speaking, they're like doomed to fail. They only have that mother figure, which is like with women, um, the reason why we're a little bit more advanced, is because like I know for me, and I have to speak for myself, what I saw is, a single woman working hard just for her and her kids to get by. So like when you're a child, you replicate what your parents do. I'm not saying that's all the time. What I saw my mom do, I'm like, okay, I have to work hard to get to where I need to be. But then also, too, I was living in a predominantly wealthy neighborhood. So, like, those two factors came into play where just like, okay, work hard, work smart, network. With men, I see like a lack of a father figure in the household. Um,
Oh,
and
oh
so that's
boy,
kind of like what hold them
Um,
back.
that's that's not a very that's not a very progressive view of things. But let's leave it at that for now because
Yeah.
don't want to get you in trouble. Let's talk about going forward. Let's talk about a subject that came up in the latest study. Women tend to have a harder time getting financing. Do you see that as a case? And how do you overcome? How do you suggest women overcome the need for financing, or to convince people they should risk with women?
So, for me, I would say I'm self-funded.
Okay.
And the reason why I was self-funded was because my credit wasn't good. But then also there's different ways to skin a cat. You know, you can get funding if you have a good, proper business plan out there. And then you have like like proof of concept where there's a need for like the niche that you're in. But the reason why it's kind of hard for some of us women or a lot of us women to get funded is because the world is dominated by men. I mean, that's the honest truth, you know. I have also have had experiences as well too where I don't like businesswoman that for some reason sometimes doesn't really get looked in a good light. But the world is dominated by men. I feel like it's easier for a man to get funding. It's harder for women, you know? Um, so that's why we essentially have to work harder and beat the odds. And for me, I had to work hard and self-fund my own business because I had, a business plan, like proof of concept to show. Um, but no one was, it wasn't until I started my business, has grown. That's when, other people were more inclined to fund me.
Mm. Well, but for instance, you go into a branch and you go up to the small business person that's supposed to fund small business. Half the time, they're women, but the women tend to be harder on other women than, in your experience, harder on other women or easier to help them.
A little bit of both. From my experience, I've noticed that a lot of women, I think they already understand that it's already hard for us. And so I've noticed a support system. Women are more inclined to support other women. And I've seen a little bit of the other side of the spectrum is like, women can be hard on under women because like it's kind of like the type of mentality. It's kind of like you're like a short-sighted mentality where certain women may think that there's not enough room for all of us. So then it becomes a competition where, oh, there's only one spot. And, people, they want to see you do good, but a lot of the times they don't want to see you do better than them, so it can be overly competitive sometimes amongst other women. So there's two sides of the coin with that, and then there's that support system. I've experienced both.
Well, the people talk about getting a mentor to help you. Did you have a mentor at all?
No, mentors cost money. I did not have a mentor. I could not afford a mentor. Most mentors that I came across wanted money for their mentorship and coaching, and that's fine. But I did not have the money, and that's why what I did, I decided to network. Since I feel like if you're not able to get a mentor, network with other like-minded people or network with other people who are doing better than you. That is what helped me out. networking. I constantly went to networking events, conventions, webinars, seminars, to learn, business. And then in those events, I put myself out there introducing myself to other fellow business owners, telling them what I do and vice versa. And so that is what helped me all along the way. And I was able to build friendships with business owners to the point where they would lend me advice. For example, I'm in the childcare industry. And of course, I would network with a lot of people that are in different industries, such as real estate is a popular one. Trucking is also a popular one. However, just because someone is in a different industry doesn't mean they can't give you advice, because certain things that I implemented with my business was things that I studied what, real estate agents do, or what trucking, like certain systems that they put in place to make their business flow the way it's flowing. I would take those ideas and implement it within my own business.
Hmm.
So that's that.
Oh, yeah, that's good advice. Well, let's ask you, what's a good technique for mentor for going out there and networking? I mean, just go. Here's my card. Walk up to somebody, or what what secret did you learn from networking that you'd pass
Yeah.
on?
So I've learned, because I haven't had a mentor, I've learned from my peers. I've just learned through trial and error. So in the beginning, when I network, what I used to do was just walk up to people, give them my business cards. And a lot of times those business cards would end up in the trash. Not because they had anything against me, but it's not authentic. You're just selling someone. And so after a few months, up to a year, I decided, I went back to my drawing board and said to myself, this isn't working. Let me try something different. And what I tried that was different, let me go to this networking event, network with other individuals, and see how can I add value to their business? Or matter of fact, how can I support what they have going on? And believe it or not, I went a long way doing that. When you help people, I mean, it's like the laws of attraction. When you plant a seed, it grows. So when you add value to people and when you help other people in need, even like it will come back to you in some sort of way. And that's just being a genuine person. When you're just going to someone off of like just sales or trying to sell your business, for me, that never worked, because it's just not authentic. What helped me was just being supportive, and that's what I did. By me being supported, I can just call up on, one of my fellow peers and just ask them advice on, like, okay, I have a client doing this. How should I handle this? And they'll give me their expertise based off of their business. But my advice, see how you can add value to other people. And I'm not necessarily saying buy their products. There are different ways you can add value to someone, whether being there for them or coming to their event to support, or simply referring them, sharing their services to other people. That is the best way to network, is adding value to that person. Don't take, give.
Hmm. That, that's great advice. That's really great. Do you have okay? Well, what about promoting your company? What did you find was the most effective way of promoting your company?
So, it depends on your niche. Because like I said, there's different ways to skin a cat. I've tried everything under the sun. I'm the type of person, I like to try it all so that way I can say to myself, this doesn't work. But then I understand that certain things, you kind of have to be consistent at. So for me, cold calling and cold emailing worked. I was doing things like Google Ads, social media promotions. That never worked for me because there's other competitors who are spending, while I'm spending $500 for a small sponsored ad, my competitor is spending probably $10,000. So whose ad is going to be get viewed first? Theirs. The ad industry is very competitive. It's a competitive market. You have to put a lot of money into it. So that didn't work for me. Um, networking. So networking is like a long game. Networking, is meant to build that relationships. It's just a long-term game. It's not something if you're trying to find clients or leads right then and there. I don't think networking should be used to as like a marketing tactic. What I did was cold calling. And so what I did is I generated some leads, people who would need my services. And that was because I specialize in B2B, business to business, which is providing childcare services to other businesses. So I wrote down a few businesses and I just cold call. I would cold call hundreds and hundreds, and then I would do cold emailing as well. So that is what helped me attain clients.
Hmm. Your website for people who want to learn more. We're talking with Rebecca Sylvain.
Yeah.
Rebecca, what's your website?
Yeah, so my website is www.nanniesandkidsunited.com. And so that's NANNIESANDKIDSUNITED.com.
Okay. Well, Rebecca, we have just a few minutes left. What would you like to leave our audience with?
Um, I would just like to say, stay consistent. Also to work hard and work smart. Um, if you stay at it, if you stay at being consistent in what you want to do, you'll get there. And also just be open-minded as well, because you never know. Be open-minded and definitely just make sure that you're networking with other people who are in the, same mindset as you, because, they'll be more inclined to help you if you just come at it with adding value to other people.
Well, on that note, Rebecca, we say thank you for a very interesting and informative time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Don.